Let's talk about the Book of Revelation. For a lot of people, the name itself brings up these, terrifying and really confusing images. You've got 4 horsemen, bulls of wrath, these huge epic battles. It can all feel so random, so symbolic, and honestly, almost impossible to really wrap your head around.
But what if it's not random at all? I mean, what if, buried deep inside that text, there's actually a precise, structured timeline? What if the apocalypse has a schedule, just waiting for someone to decode it?
So that's what we're digging into today, a theory that completely flips the script. It asks us to stop seeing Revelation as just chaos and start seeing it as a calendar, to move from thinking about random, confusing symbols to seeing a precise, structured, and maybe even a divinely synchronized schedule.
So how do we even get there? Well, we're going to start by exploring this whole idea of a hidden schedule in Revelation. Then we'll uncover the ancient 364-day calendar that just might be the key to unlocking it. And from there, we'll map out how this key could unlock the spring seals, then the summer bowls of wrath, and finally, the big autumn finale. Okay, so every good mystery needs a decoder ring, right? Well, for this one, our decoder ring is this incredible ancient calendar. It was used by the Qumran community. Yep, the same people who gave us the Dead Sea Scrolls. This isn't just any old calendar. It's potentially the key to the entire structure of Revelation.
And the number itself is, well, it's pretty fascinating. 364. Now, why that specific number? Well, get this. 364 divides perfectly by 7. That creates what you could call a perfect solar year. It means dates and festivals would land on the exact same day of the week, every single year. No drift, no adjustments needed. It's a perfect model of divine order.
This calendar, which is often called the Enoch Calendar, has this one super specific, kinda weird feature that's absolutely crucial. The year always starts on a Wednesday. Why Wednesday? Because that was the 4th day of creation week, the day the sun, moon, and stars, the heavenly timekeepers, were made. That's not just some random detail. It's a huge piece of this theory.
All right, so we've got our calendar key. Let's start using it to unlock the first set of judgments. We're going to begin in the spring. According to this theory, the agricultural cycle of ancient Israel isn't just background detail. It's basically a divine timestamp for the apocalypse.
You see, in the ancient sacred year, the first really big event was the spring barley harvest. This was huge. It kicked off the whole festival season, and it represented the very first fruits of the land.
And here's where it gets really cool. This is the first major connection the theory makes. Those famous 4 horsemen, the ones unleashed when the first seals are opened? The idea is that they are prophetically timestamped to this exact moment, the spring barley harvest. The first judgment lines up with the first harvest.
But, the pattern doesn't just stop in the spring. Let's fast forward to summer, a time of really intense heat and maturation, to see how the next set of terrifying visions, the bowls of God's wrath, might fit into this schedule.
Revelation paints this really vivid and honestly pretty terrifying picture of a great winepress to describe God's wrath. You have grapes being gathered and crushed, symbolizing this final bloody judgment. But is it just a symbol?
And this is the crucial point, right here. That winepress imagery, it lines up perfectly with a real event on the calendar, the late summer grape harvest. So according to this theory, it's not just a powerful metaphor, it's a countdown, marking the time when the bowls of wrath are poured out, coinciding with a real, physical harvest.
Okay, so now we're at the climax of the sacred year, the autumn feasts. And there's this one little detail here. A detail about the armies of heaven that might just be one of the biggest clues in this whole puzzle.
So Revelation tells us that the armies of heaven ride out for the final battle, and they're dressed in fine linen, white and clean. Now, you gotta ask, why that specific outfit? It's not just a random fashion choice, right? There has to be a reason. It's a direct and powerful symbolic link.
And the answer, the solution to this whole linen mystery, seems to be found in the most serious, most solemn of all the autumn feasts, the Day of Atonement. See, on this day, and only this day, the high priest would go into the Holy of Holies dressed in simple, white linen garments. So the heavenly army's uniform, it isn't really for battle. It's priestly clothing, signaling that the final judgment is tied to this sacred day of atonement and cleansing. So, we've looked at all the individual pieces, right? We've got the spring harvest, the summer wrath, the autumn feasts, all supposedly unlocked by this 364-day calendar. So, let's put it all together and see what it looks like.
And there you have it. When you lay it all out across a single year, you can really see the structure this theory proposes. The whole thing kicks off in the spring with the opening of the seals, right alongside the barley harvest. God's wrath gets more intense during the summer, lining up with the grape harvest and that winepress imagery. And it all leads to this huge climax in the autumn, with the final events symbolically linked to the Day of Atonement. It's not chaos, it's a clock.
So, just to quickly recap those three huge connections we've talked about. The four horsemen? They seem to be time-stamped by the spring barley harvest. The terrifying bowls of wrath? They line up with the summer wine press. And that final climactic appearance of the heavenly armies? It points directly to the Day of Atonement in the autumn. Every major event finds its perfect spot on the calendar.
Which, of course, leaves us with one last, really big question to chew on. If we start looking at Revelation not as a book of random scary visions, but as a kind of divine schedule, could this ancient calendar really be the key to unlocking the hidden order to one of history's greatest mysteries?